Hey, Bruce Eckfeldt here. So wanted to talk about meetings and how to run effective, safe meetings. A couple of ground rules we're going to cover. If you want to learn more, stay tuned. Hey everyone, Bruce Eckfeldt here. So I'm a strategic leadership coach. I work with companies on how to help them grow and scale, building out clear strategies and help them grow high performance leadership teams. One of the things I do a lot of is meetings, and running meetings is a real art. It's something I do for all of my companies, all the groups that I work with. And there's a couple of things that I find really important and effective with meetings. One of the key things is ground rules. So I'm going to cover a couple here. So one of the first ground rules I like to put in place is something I call Vegas rules. Right? So if people remember the phrase, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, the same is true with meetings. What happens in the meeting stays in the meeting. The reason we do this is we want to create safety. We want to make sure that everyone understands that what they talk about here, the things they bring up, the issues, the topics, the feedback, is going to stay in the meeting. It's not going to come back to them and bite them in an inappropriate way. So I always want to make sure that we've got confidentiality. The corollary here is that if anything comes up that you do need to talk to somebody about, you get permission from the people in the meeting beforehand, right? So Vegas rules, confidentiality, one of the key ground rules for all good, highly effective meetings. So another ground rule I like to have in all of my meetings is something I call tackle issues, not people. Right, so we want to make sure that we're getting into the issues, that we're getting into them and really figuring out what happened, why they happened, what do we do to change them. But I don't want them to be something that people are going to get defensive about or going to start defending themselves around. And so making sure that we're focusing on the issue and not the person or not the people behind it is a key way to be able to do that. A corollary to this, or another way I like to phrase it, is don't make things personal, don't take things personally. All right, so this is at any point during the meeting, if you're feeling like you're starting to get defensive, you got some emotions going on, flag it, right? Bring it up, raise your hand, say, hey, look, I'm having an emotional reaction here. And we do whatever we can to de-escalate it, really get back to the issue, not make it personal. And this is one way that you can really get into the issues you need to get into without creating kind of the drama around it. So tackle issues, not people, another key part of every important meeting that I run. So another ground rule I like to put in place, I call yes and. So if anyone here has done anything with improv, it's one of the core rules or one of the core tenets of improv is you never say no, you never contradict the scheme, the thing that people are talking about, right? And it's a way of kind of keeping the energy going, building upon things rather than tearing things down. Same is true in meetings. So I make sure that even if you're going to completely contradict what the person just said, just start with yes and it just helps the reaction to things, the emotional energy of the room, the kind of building upon ideas rather than feeling like people are kind of debating and contradicting each other. Just say yes and. So oftentimes in meetings, someone will say something and I'll just pause them and say yes and I just want you to start exactly what you were just saying, just start it with yes and. So it's a great rule to really help keep the energy going, keeping things positive, keeping things constructive. Give it a try in your next meeting. So another important ground rule I use for all of my meetings is called equal airtime, right? And this comes out of a lot of research that's done in meetings and high performance teams. And if anyone knows the Aristotle project from Google, it's one of the key findings there. And the idea is that really high performance team, everyone has a chance to speak and everyone has equal airtime, right? We're hearing from everyone and everyone's giving everyone else a chance to talk. So in a meeting when I'm facilitating, I might tell people, hey, let's hear from some other folks. That's kind of a cue that you've been talking a lot. Let's share the time a little bit with other folks. Or I might say, hey, look, I'd love to hear what you have to think about this, or what do you have to say about this topic? And that's really trying to pull information out and pull people into the conversation because I want to make sure that everyone gets heard. And it's both because everyone has interesting ideas and perspectives. If you're dealing with a senior leadership team or a high performance team, everyone's content or everyone's perception of the situation is really valuable. It's important to get on the table. It's also important to make sure people are heard, right? So making sure that people have a chance and actually say something is going to keep them bought into the conversation, enrolled in the conversation, so that any decisions and outcomes, they're going to feel like they've made a contribution to, right? So it's a way to make sure that we've got buy-in and commitment to the topics and the issues coming out of the meetings. So equal airtime is really important for high performance meetings. Another ground rule that I love, I call enter the danger. Right. And this is really just acknowledgement that oftentimes, especially if we're dealing with senior leadership team meetings or, high level executives, we're often dealing with really important issues and they can be really kind of complicated, multifaceted. They can involve a lot of impact, or a lot of people. They can have a lot of impact on things. And so people are going to have emotional reactions. And so what I say to people is check in with your gut, right? If you're feeling something during a meeting, it probably means something. It probably means that we need to get into it at some level, right? So don't shy away from those things, lean into them, enter the danger. It's a great way to make sure that we're really tackling the important issues and we're getting into the topics we need to get into to really advance the conversation, advance the agenda, and really level up the performance of the team. And creating safety around that is super important. So, I always say, look, if you're having a feeling about something, let me know. We'll figure out what to do to kind of frame it up, create some safety. But entering the danger is going to be key to really getting into the issues we need to get into to drive performance. So those are some of the ground rules I put in meetings. I've got lots of ground rules. I actually have a PDF that has, I think, 50 ground rules you can use in meetings. If you want it, email me, bruce@eckfeldt.com. And meetings are key to businesses. I have lots of kind of content on meetings, and they're both kind of the best part of high performance teams are really great meetings. It can also be the worst part of teams is really not productive meetings. So getting good at meetings is something that all teams need to get really proficient in if they're going to be high performance. Ground rules are a great way to do that. Check out these. Like I said, email me if you want the other ones. And if you have any interest or questions around what I do at teams and helping companies with strategy and building out high performance leadership teams, email me at bruce@eckfeldt.com or check out my website, eckfeldt.com. Lots of content on there, a couple of my programs. Check it out for more information. Look forward to talking to you.